tarot reading with the ancestors. I must admit I'm doing this slightly differently than usually. So I have an ancestor practice and I have a tarot practice, and I don't often bring the two together. But in this reading, what I'd like to do is invite the ancestors, to the loving ancestors, any that are not loving and not welcome in this space at this time, to invite the loving ancestors to also send us messages where appropriate. So I'll talk you through the spread. Those of you who have done my ancestors course will know I tend to split the ancestor categories into 3 types. Ancestors of family, so this could be the people who brought you up, the people who brought them up, and so on, going back into the mists of time. Ancestors of spirit, these are those who went before you in any path that you're walking. So, you know, for me that might be tarot readers, previous tarot readers, the people who created the decks that I work with now, for example. And ancestors of place. So ancestors of place are the people who were before you in the place where you are. So for me, that is people who have lived in this part of Portugal. Also people who have lived in England, in particular the north of England where I'm from, because that's another place I have a close connection to. So those are my ancestors of place, and you will have ancestors of place in the place where you are and any other places that you are connected to. This circle right in the centre, I think actually when we do the reading we're going to start here, because this is you, yeah, this is you alive right now, us who are alive right now. So if you take a long perspective on the mists of time, or even when time doesn't seem so misty, what you get is billions of years of our ancestors, and, you know, many years perhaps in the future as well of those who will come after us. And everyone gets their turn. Everyone gets their turn to live a life, and then it's no longer our turn. Then we move through. We move through our time. So our ancestors are the ones who have already had their turn, and they're now around us, cheering us on, wanting us to live life to the absolute fullest in this moment that we've been given. And that's what this circle here is in the centre. You know, how can we live life in that wonderful way? Then we have the future. So we are the ancestors of the future. We are the ones who come before those who will come after us. And so this is a position in this spread for us to hold that awareness and to consider that. We have here the beloved dead. So these are the people who we may have known and loved and who have now passed on. And we will all have people that we cared about, that we were connected to in one way or another, that are no longer with us. So this is a space to just be hold an awareness of our relationship with them. And then finally, message, the overall message of this reading, you know, so this can be a message about our ancestor work, our relationships with our ancestors, or simply what do the ancestors want us to know today. And of course, if we go far enough back, Cam, you're asking, and animals, I presume you're asking about the beloved dead, those who have gone before. I would say yes. I have been doing some work this morning with my beloved dead and lighting some candles, and I've included my dog Jessie in that as well. So yeah, absolutely, we can include animals and other non-human beings in our beloved dead, and this is a very healthy way to relate with the beings that we live with around on this world. So that is, yeah, the message is the overall message that comes through today. So that is the shape of the spread. And we'll now go into the reading itself. So I'll invite you to take a deep breath, go inside. And if there are ancestors that you work with that you would like to invite to be with you for this reading, to help you to receive the message that you need to receive today, then you can go ahead and make space for them now, invite them now. And then just set your intention to receive what you need. Today I'm using a version of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which is the oldest deck that I own. And so for this, right in the centre, our life, this moment that we all have, that our ancestors, our loving ancestors, are in a circle around us, cheering us on, wishing us to have this moment to the full, to live this life to the full. And they've offered us an ace. And this is the Ace of Pentacles. Now, any aces, and I think this is the main message of this card in this position, any aces are about potential. So each ace carries the full potential of its suit, and the ace is, I'm laughing because I think the ancestors perhaps have a sense of humour sending us this. The ace is about the material. So this life that we are living at the moment, this is the moment that we are given our potential in the material world. Yeah, this is what they're saying to us. And so what do we do with that? You know, let's take the opportunities that we have. And you know, make them into something. Aces are only potential until we commit to them. When we commit to them, they become a whole journey through that suit and through different archetypes and different parts of our being. So yeah, we've been given a gift. This life is a gift. This is the main message here from the ancestors. This life is a gift. This moment that we have while we're the ones who are living is a gift. Let's realise it to our full potential. And it's there. The potential is there. It's there for all of us. Amy, I have seen your question. I wonder if you'd ask it again after the reading, and then I'll be happy to go into that with you. Okay, so the next position is ancestors of family. Ancestors of family, these are the people who brought us up, those who brought those up, our family. So for some of us, those are also our genetic ancestors. For others, they're not. And just to bear in mind, ancestors of family are not just like the immediate generation. So I know there are some people who might be watching, who are engaged in the Ancestor course, who don't get on very well with, you know, immediate ancestors of family for whatever reason. This doesn't mean that you can't have a connection, a good connection with ancestors of family. It's just that those immediate ones who may not have been loving, may not have been supportive, aren't the ones to work with. But your ancestors of family can go way back. So I have ancestors of family that I know I'm related to somehow. I don't know how, you know, it's so far back that it's untraceable in terms of the family tree. But they're still my ancestors of family, and they are around, and I can work with them. So if your immediate ancestors of family are not safe for you to work with, then, you know, you can always work with more ancient, further back ancestors of family. And Diane say, being adopted, I see ancestors as a collective family of humanity. And this really is one of the reasons that I want to emphasise ancestors of family is not necessarily genetic, because you may wish to claim genetic ancestors and or ancestors of the people who brought you up, and that's absolutely within your right to do so, and you will know which among those you choose to claim. So ancestors of family are today telling us, we've got the Queen of Wands. This is another one. I think we're going to have this same message reinforced and reinforced and reinforced in this reading. So the Queen of Wands is someone who, you know, can make magic, can make things happen. The Wands is about spirit energy, fire, that inner fire that we have, and so the Queen of Wands, she has all that. Doesn't have to be a she, of course. This is an archetype and a metaphor, but the Queen of Wands has this inner fire, this passion, but knows how to direct it. You know, this is not just someone who's playing with the energy of wands. This is someone who is a monarch of the energy of wands. So knows how to direct passion, knows how to create, can be someone very creative. So it may be that for some of you, you have an actual ancestor of family who was like the Queen of Wands, who is around, or that there is a creativity that has come down through your family. And also ancestors of family invite us at this time to channel and direct that inner fire. So just like in this position for life, we had, here is your potential in the material world, go and realize it. The ancestors of family are saying, yes, you can realize it. Here is the energy, direct it, use it, make magic, because magic is something that you can do and that is available to you. So a lovely message there from ancestors of family. Ancestors of spirit. So this is those who went before us on a path that we're walking. So it could be a career path or a spiritual path, or a path of how you spend your days, how you commit your time. And the ancestors of spirit have, it's another Wands card. This is the Page of Wands. So the Page of Wands is the, this is like a younger court card than the Queen of Wands. So the pages are at the beginning of the court card sequence in the tarot court, and they often represent a beginner's mind, stepping out, getting in touch with new energies, I'm going to say, because this is again a Wands card. We've had a lot of Wands in the last few readings, Monday readings, I seem to recall. And so the ancestors of spirit, what they're telling you with the Page of Wands, this is really a card about stepping out and making your own space, claiming your own space. So, you know, it can be as simple as taking up space, but it's also about making your name in the world, or making yourself taking up space in the world, making your name in the world, and making yourself known. So there's something in here about being seen as well. So for the ancestors of spirit, again, some of you may recognize the Page of Wands in a particular ancestor of spirit, but also there is a message here to step into and claim your path. Chalice, you suggest stepping into your greatness, and yeah, absolutely. And with it being a page, this is about early on. So you might not be in your full greatness yet, but the ancestors of spirit are willing to be with you and to guide you on your path as you step into it. And the invitation there is for you to have the courage and the confidence to step onto your path and to be excited by it. Because if you're on a path that's not exciting for you, then, you know, maybe there's a question there about what are you doing there? And there may be reasons, or it may just have come to pass. But it's a good question, you know, if this is not exciting, if the path you're walking is not exciting for you, then doesn't necessarily mean it's the wrong path. You know, it might be, there might be another path that speaks to your spirit more, but it could be that you can find ways to make it exciting. So that's a question that the ancestors of spirit have for you. And then the ancestors of place, the people who have gone before in the place where we are. And I'm aware that we are in this reading from all across the world. Nevertheless, I trust the ancestors of all the places to give us the message that we need. And this is another court card. So 3 court cards, almost as if we have 3 personalities coming to join us from those ancestors of family, spirit and place. And it's the Queen of Pentacles. So the Queen of Pentacles, again, like the Queen of Wands, is a monarch, someone who is very much in their maturity, have earned the place where they are. And it's funny that this should come up for ancestors of place, because the Pentacles, as I mentioned earlier with that Ace of Pentacles in the centre, the Pentacles are all about the material, and the element is earth. So when we're working with ancestors of place, this is an appropriate element, it's an appropriate suit to work with them. So the ancestors of place, this can be, again, this may be a particular ancestor for some of you who is here and wants you to know that they're here. The Queen of Pentacles tends to be a healer, an organizer, perhaps a gardener, someone who is very embodied, someone who is very aware of their embodied experience and able to manage it well. And the Queen of Pentacles also has this aspect of sort of gardening, tending to the land, being in the land. So I think the invitation there from the ancestors of place is to go and get to know your place, and not just get to know it, because the Queen of Pentacles is a nurturer. So, you know, how can you nurture the place you are in a way that is respectful for the place and honours the ancestors? So you might look at traditional means of caring for the land where you are. You might look at, if you're somewhere where there are indigenous populations, or you're part of an indigenous population, how you can honour that in a way that is good for the place, that keeps that connection with the place. And really, you know, the place that we all share at the moment is earth. So there's an invitation there to nurture the earth, and the ancestors of place, whatever place we are in, will be happy. So those are our 3 ancestors of family, of spirit and of place. And again, I'll just point out how cool it is that we had 3 personalities come up here. Okay, so now ancestors of the future, this is us. This is the message the future has for us as their ancestors. The High Priestess. So this is the first major arcana card to come up in this reading. And it's an interesting one to come up in this position. So the High Priestess is about liminality, the unconscious, the underworld sometimes, guardianship, but more sort of guardian of the ways than guardian of a particular place. So this is, the High Priestess can be a psychopomp, someone who can show you the way into dreams, into intuition, into the underworld, into magic, into the mysteries, which is what the priestess guards. So the High Priestess in this position perhaps invites us to be aware of what are our mysteries, and how can we pass them on to the future. So, you know, as we are in touch with the sacred, as we are each our own High Priestess, how can we make sure that the future generations also have the knowledge, the wisdom, that connection with the sacred and the mysteries that we have. So how can we share that with the future? And I'm just going to leave her here, and I think for some of us, one of the places High Priestess can come is in dreams. So if you have a dreaming practice, just be aware that the High Priestess could turn up tonight and could give you a little additional message there. Beloved dead. So these are those who we knew and loved and who have gone from this plane where we are still in our very material existence, and one has just jumped out there from the deck as I was shuffling, and it's the Four of Cups. So I straight away, the message that I see in this, you can see here's someone sort of sitting there contemplating these three cups, and they can't see this fourth cup being offered to them. So it may be that for some of us, you know, the beloved dead are unseen, but are still around for us. And there's an invitation in this to be conscious of where we place our attention. So, you know, we can place our attention on those three cups of life, and miss the beloved dead, or we can place our attention on that cup that is unseen, of those who perhaps have already gone on, and then take our attention away from those three cups of life. So I think what this card is saying, and perhaps what even for some of us, some of our beloved dead want us to know, is that we can strike a balance. So, you know, we can remember them and still live our lives, and we can live our lives and still remember them, and how we remember them. You know, it doesn't just have to be about remembering and missing. Our love is still there, right? When we have lost a loved one, we don't lose the love for them, and that's why we have grief attached to that. And so, you know, we can continue to love them even though they're not with us in the way that they used to be with us. We can continue to have that love and to hold that love with us as we go on about our lives. And we can have balance in that. And then the overall message here in this tarot reading with the ancestors. We got death. So one of the things when death comes up for me as a card of the day, one of the ways that I read it is about, and you know, today is a day for ancestor work. Today is a day to remember the ancestors. Today is a day to be involved with the ancestors in any way that you typically do. So that will look different from one person to the next. I have my own ancestor practice. I have shared some ways to connect with the ancestors in my course, and I know that, you know, for every person there'll be a different way that you connect with the ancestors. So I love that this came up today as the overall message, that, you know, that affirmation that today is a good day for working with the ancestors. Where I come from, today is Samhain, which is a day where the veil is thin, they say, you know, so it is a day and a night for working with ancestors. I know that all over the world tomorrow is another day where the ancestors are remembered and celebrated in different ways. So, you know, it is the season of the ancestors. And this is another major arcana card. And so for those of you who are already familiar with the tarot, just know that ancestor work is another meaning of the death card. And then death is about transformation, and it's about letting go and also receiving in a future. I don't know if you can see here, there's a sunrise happening just in the distance there as death marches through the landscape. So, you know, even as we look to the past, we create the future. And, you know, it's absolutely okay to create a future in which we remember and honour those from the past. And some things we need to let go of, and perhaps as part of our ancestor work today, we can ask for the support of the ancestors in that. You know, if there's something that wants to be released, something that wants to be healed, something that no longer needs to come in this iteration that it's existing today, then you know, we can release that, and perhaps the ancestors can help us with that. So that's the message overall, and I'll summarize it in a moment. I know that Amy, you had asked a question, and I want to check that I've got the wording of it right. So I wonder if you would mind typing that again, just because it's disappeared from the comments. But it's one I'd like to, even if I don't have the answer, it's something I'd like to hold space for. And I can see that it's a question that that other people also have as well. So, Amy, your question, I think, was about if someone has passed on by suicide, if they've taken their own life, does that influence their presence? I don't think this is a yes or no question. For me, and this is the way I formulate, the way I understand, and again, it's not necessarily the right way, but it's a way I've come to from contemplation. All the ancestors will come to us in different ways. So those who are our beloved dead, as I mentioned earlier, I sat this morning and I lit candles for all my loved ones, and one of the people that I included in that was someone who had passed on by suicide years and years ago, and for a long time he kept coming to me. He hasn't for a while, but I realised this morning that he hasn't for a while, but for a long time he did keep coming to me. So I know that it is possible. I know that is possible. At the same time, you know, none of us knows what happens next. And we can theorize. And, you know, for me, my theory is that doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing for all people. So different people can go to different places or not go anywhere at all, whatever it is, wherever it is they go, whatever happens, might be different for every single individual. And, you know, what influences that, again, can only theorize on, because none of us who are living know. But with that perspective, it's that it then stands to reason that, you know, some ancestors will come and be present with us, and some will be off doing something else, whatever that something else is. And I think that what influences that is more than just the manner of their death, and it's more about the wholeness of who they are, who they were, and what is happening for them next. So I don't know how clear an answer that has given you. I know it's certainly possible for people to be present after they have died by suicide, and they may be doing something else. That's all I can say, and I can't pretend to be any more actually knowledgeable than any other living person. So I hope that's helpful. Okay, so I'll summarize the reading, and starting in the middle with life, this life that we have been given. It's our turn to be alive. The ancestors have had their turn, the future people have not yet come. This is our turn, and here are the ancestors cheering us on and reminding us that the card in this position is the Ace of Pentacles, reminding us that this is our possibility, this is our opportunity to be manifest in the material. So we should enjoy it, we should take it. And the ancestors of family, spirit and place, I think we have 3 different archetypes, maybe 3 different people show up there, are giving us ways that we can manifest the possibility that is inherent in our being here, being incarnate, being in material form, existing alive, having this life. So the ancestors of family, we had the Queen of Wands. So a reinforcement of that message to, you know, make magic happen, direct our energy in living this life, manifesting this life, turning our potential into whatever we choose to turn our potential into. And this is about creativity, fire, internal fire, passions. So, you know, follow your passions, and perhaps there may be an ancestor of family who was very creative, who was respected for their creative work, or very mature in their creative presence. And you know, if so, then that ancestor of family may be one that you want to work with today. Ancestors of spirit, we have the Page of Wands. So this is really that, you know, on our path, whatever that path may be, the ancestors of spirit are with us, are willing to guide us. They accept that we don't know everything yet, and they're willing to share with us that which we don't yet know, but they might. And also there's a question there about, you know, is the path you're on inspiring you? Is it exciting you? And if it's not exciting, if it's not inspiring, you know, does that mean it's the wrong path? Or does that mean that you need to find a way to make the path more exciting, more inspiring? Ancestors of place, Queen of Pentacles. So an invitation to nurture the earth that we live on, and to interact with the place that we are in a way that is nurturing, that is caring. And the Queen of Pentacles is someone who's very capable and very practical. So maybe ancestors of place with those qualities who would like to, who would appreciate it if you spent time working with them in some way today. Future, ancestors of the future. Who are the ancestors of the future? Is us. So for the future, we've got the High Priestess. So that is an invitation to look to our own mysteries, our own spiritual things, our own inner things, all which is, I think mysteries is the word, and appreciating the connection that we have with those mysteries, from those mysteries. Think about how are we going to pass them to the people who come next. And this is one to think about carefully, because, you know, we all connect with the spiritual in our own personal ways, and it's not appropriate, of course, to force those who come next to connect in the way that we do. So it's not about being evangelistic about anything that we're doing, but more it's about, you know, how do we make sure that our traditions stay alive for those who are interested and who do want to connect with them. The beloved dead, the Four of Cups, invited us to have a balance between where we focus our attention, and reminded us that we can live our lives still loving them and having our own lives as well. And the overall message, the Death card, a reminder that this is a really good time of year to do ancestor work, to work with the ancestors. And so the ancestors are there and can support us. And if there is any healing or releasing work that we'd like to do, that's something that the ancestors also can be a support for us in. So that's our reading for today. Thank you very much for joining me.